Good morning. I am running a little behind because I got something wrong with me, and then I have a little medical astrology story to tell you regarding this. I'm going to go ahead and select my screen and share that with you. All right, so what happened to me this last couple of weeks? Well, I went into Costco. I didn't wear my mask. I forgot to put it on, and I have cancer, so I'm autoimmune, and I have no business walking around right now with the level of things that could happen to me without a mask. And I decided, I didn't bring it. It's okay. Everybody else is not wearing a mask. I can get away with this. And well, that wasn't really true. And I ended up paying quite a price for this. So I will explain. I am currently 61, will be 62 in August. And around this time in life, you have a transit square with Uranus. And I'm having a square with Uranus to my natal Uranus in the 8th house of medical. So let me explain. I have Uranus by transit in my 5th house in Taurus, squaring my 8th house in Leo. The house of Leo, the sun, is intercepted in the 8th house because my sun is actually the ruler of the 5th house. So imagine all of that. So I was really playing with exposure by going out in public, not wearing a mask. Uranus square Uranus. I went with my husband on a little date, 5th house, where I was in a community circumstance, breathing the air that belonged to others. Bad idea. I went around, I touched things. I had a great time, but boy, am I paying for it. I've been down for almost 2 weeks. Now, with that, what caused this? Well, you have Mars in the center in the 6th house, sextiling Uranus on both sides. My natal Mars is saying, oh yeah, I'm open and willing to accept infection. I want something shocking, uncomfortable, and revolutionizing. Would you please help me? And here I am today. I'm kind of feeling bad physically, and I mean, I'm much better today. I must admit, I'm like so improved that it's not worth complaining about now. I'm happy to say that I'm on the other side of this, but I've been running a fever for almost 2 weeks, so that just gives you some idea. This was hard on me. I have cancer. I have to use better sense than this. So for those of you out there thinking you don't need a mask, think again, because people like me are out there, and that's maybe really now the $1 million issue is you don't want to be responsible for harming someone else because you don't care for the mask. I don't care for it. I don't like it. I don't want to wear it. I'd rather do anything, but I don't have a choice because I'm not well enough to take that for granted. So please do remember that when you're out and about in public. So let's just move on into this chart, and we're using the spellcaster today. And what does the spellcaster have to say to us? Well, I used 4 cards, and I'm using 4 cards. I changed my mind a little bit. And the reason for 4 cards is I'm in Hawaii. 4 is a very important number. It is considered a whole number. It's considered the cornerstone of numbers. And I can't say I disagree with that. And given that I'm in Hawaii, Hawaiians have a way of doing things. I basically subscribe to the idea of doing as the Hawaiians do. So that is my reasoning today. So we start out with a hangman. Something is hung up, and you'll notice the 1 and 2. It's a karmic number, 12, causing us to need to look at how we interact with the earth. A 2, a 1 is a 1, 2, 3. Also, it's a 3 that we're having to look at creatively how to manage. This being on the bark of a mulberry tree, I do believe. And the mulberry tree is saying that I'm here to provide healing for 3 through teamwork, through dream work. attached to the tree, it's saying that there's healing modalities coming in from an earth-based energy up in the air. We're choosing to have new things. We're choosing a new direction. So this reading is simple. Again, past, present, and future, with the foundation being the Hanged Man, the number 12, numerology number 3, healing. What we have had in the past is this fiery issue of things coming in at us, feeling like the air is sick, and it is sick. As you can see that bird flying over, bringing with it something kind of devastating. And we've all been having to cope with a virus we don't even begin to understand. It's not something you could see. And it affects your smell and taste. So, even there we get robbed a little bit. So then it moves on and it says that that the sun is saying that it's here to expose the truth of what's really happening under the dark underbelly of life. And of course, we need that because the threads of the past are really disturbing us. We're very affected by the threads of the past. And we've been saying as astrologists for a while that exposure is here. We're going to be exposed to the truth, good, bad, or otherwise. And we've had this really big experience. We've had these series of presidents that have been politically devastating to us as the people. Right now, we're looking at finances that we no longer can sustain. We can't make it this way, the way government is handling inflation, telling us what the numbers really are. And we're living at this point below poverty level. There is no way a person can afford rent if it's $5,000 here on the island for a family home. Right now to rent, it's $5,000 a month. Imagine if you're a local person needing to live here. This is where your family's from. This is where your job is. This is where your life is. This is where your children go to school. Yet you can't really make it here because $5,000 a month and you make $18 an hour. That is not sustainable. So this is all being exposed and needs to be exposed. And one of the things I find rather interesting and curious right now is we had a massive storm come in, Hurricane Darby, and I think it was a tropical depression by the time it hit the Big Island. But over in Kona, some of those fancy condos sitting right on the waterfront, the water came right in and up over the buildings. And we're talking, 4 or 5 stories here. Okay. They're not real tall because they're right there on the ocean front, but they're right there. And wow, we had a deluge of ocean water come into town in Kona just here the other day during this hurricane. It might have been Saturday or Sunday. I don't know. I looked at some of the podcasts on it and it was very interesting. It's very much worth seeing. So as you can see, that exposure is there and something is shedding light on what's really true versus what isn't. Then you notice that we have the single wand in the future position, saying that this fiery energy, we're getting ready to move into a kind of a storm, if you will. A storm of what? I don't know, but one of the things that I find interesting about this in future is this is a forecast reading that the chart itself sort of goes from this wand on and says, yeah, there's some issues. What kind of issues are we maybe experiencing? Air quality. Why are we experiencing air quality issues? Well, you notice those clouds. It's due to the fact that we have a very high CO2 level building in our environment. I know here on the Big Island in Kona, I have a hard time going there and shopping at Costco because I find it just kind of gums up my respiratory system due to the CO2 levels. My eyes burn the whole time. My nose runs. I just kind of feel like my eyes are water. I feel like I'm miserable with it. So, do keep in mind that the air quality is changing. So again, a mask isn't a bad idea. I'm not comfortable. I don't like them. I always kind of feel like I'm not getting enough air, but You know, what choice do we have? We have to take care of our bodies, and we have to be mindful that this is still very much a problem out there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop share, and I'm going to change it up again. And let me get to share screen, and then there we go. Here's my chart. And here is the USA chart with transits. And as you can see in the very first house, I have Puritan crisis and an arrow pointing to Sagittarius and then a moon. That is where our moon at this time in transit is at. It is saying it's going over the details of the shadow and how we survive, and it is exposing us to the receptive truths that we are seeing. This taking away our rights for abortion, telling us that, oh no, that little 10-year-old girl, that's not an abortion. I mean, it's just the biggest bunch of gaslighting I've ever heard in my life. And, you know, whether abortion is right or wrong is not my business. And it really isn't anybody's business. But I know that if I get pregnant and I don't want to be pregnant and I'm not prepared to raise a child, I certainly should have the right to say so. But right now in our Puritan world, we don't want that allowed. We want to make sure that we've taken control and punished, and it is for punishment, those who get pregnant. If you have sex, you Jezebel, keep in mind, there's punishment by God. You lack a moral piece of crap. And I do apologize. That isn't nice of me the way I'm saying this, but that is the way we're acting. It's sickening. And how do we have that right to judge? None of us are in that position. Then you go on and you see in Capricorn, you see Pluto, where the fact of the matter is cold. It's cold financially for us right now, where we understand we're not able to keep up anymore. But yet nobody's coming to us and saying, hey, wait a minute, we're financially in trouble here, and we can't really do much about it right now because the money is just too tight. We can't help you with government funding. You're just going to have to manage on your own. In fact, we're not even going to talk about it because we so don't want to have any kind of, you know, we don't have any kind of things to say about it. We don't have any answers. And I don't know that that's even true. I think that the answer is simple. The billionaires have used us for welfare checks through a taxing system. And we've been gullible and vulnerable and been taught that the billionaire reigns supreme. What they say matters, what they say and do is what we are to follow and respect and even worship. We've lost track of who we are. We are not supposed to make sure the billionaires are all taking care of at all times. What we're really supposed to do is take care of ourselves. And this is a huge tragedy. And how do I know that the billionaires right now are going to take a huge hit? Well, because you cannot take from people spiritually, God's people, and not expect to have trouble. There will be repercussions. And as the sun is truly shining upon the problem, you can see that that's in fact the case. And that water coming up over the boardwalk and hitting, you know, a Millionaire Row, what can you say besides for watch it happen? It's fascinating. So then we move on to the third house where we've got Venus, Moon, Sun, and gosh, my brain is just not Mercury. Money, family, and silence, you can see. And then you can see right down here, I have Pluto. Pluto right here in between the by progression, this third and fourth house where information, it's dark information. It's some of it's true, some of it's not. A lot of things are coming in. One of the things that I'm really sensing we have to be mindful of is our lungs. Mercury, Venus, Sun. We are vulnerable to getting issues with our lungs right now. The air quality is poor. So do keep that in mind. And when I say lungs, I'm talking lungs where you're getting exposed to toxins, which cause you to end up getting pneumonia. So if you're vulnerable like myself, wear your mask, Stay indoors if you need to avoid the toxic air. Do something for yourself. And right now you can see, I'm going to just say that Uranus in the 6th house, where again, information, it's intercepted the moon here, where it's saying, yeah, the information that's coming out isn't going to be favorable to those who need the emotional and financial assistance. There is no information coming out. And you know, how sad, because as we are a part of the collective and we are basically being left behind by the billionaires, who I guess figure that they've got enough money to make it all work for themselves now, to make it sustainable without us, is frightening. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't speak to their, it says they understand something about what's coming in the future, that they could care less what happens to us. They're going to take care of themselves. They've stacked all their coins in their favor. And we're about to find out that they're financially thinking for ways to make money for themselves and not for us, the people. And I think we've all felt a really big theme of that, that we are being kind of taken to the cleaners financially. So tough times. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. There was more to say, but given that I'm not really feeling real good and it's just kind of repeated themes anyway, I'm going to just go ahead and say that's enough for today. Please do hit the like, share, and subscribe. Without that, I don't grow. Leave a comment. It's very important to my channel and its growth that you leave a comment. Today, a little later, myself and another medical astrologer will be bringing about a reading of Donald Trump medical and how his circumstances at this time are looking. And so with that, I thank you so much for joining me here today. And please, again, like I said, do hit the like, share, and subscribe.